Probably went through this guy's tournament, the legend Rick Lewis. How you doing?
Doing well. Thank you for having me on today.
I was fortunate, my brother and everyone, we played through your tournaments growing up. Kind of how did Phenom start?
Well, I started back in 2003 doing the Phenom camps as a means to basically finance my AU organization called Carolina Flight at the time.
Mm.
So it started just, doing a few camps as a fundraiser and then started doing that. And then in 2009, after 30 years in the textile business, I lost my job and I was in my 50s and I'm sitting there going, what am I going to do the rest of my life? And at that point in time, I had one of the college coaches told me, he said, because Tyler was, in 2009 was being recruited. And he goes, why don't you just do your own scouting service? And he goes, we'll get it and I'll get other people to do it as well. And before the end of the summer, I had, 30 plus coaches that subscribed to my service. I was going out to all the events that Tyler was playing in and, just writing about players at that point in time. And then, I started the website and we started doing, camps, AU tournaments, and we was having our scouting service. So we was doing a little bit of everything. So that's how we got started. And now we have a pretty good platform for a lot of young players to achieve their dream, whether it's coming to one of our camps and getting exposure there, or coming to one of our tournaments, like a travel ball or club AAU. And then we're doing a lot of, scholastic events as well during the basketball's high school season.
Everyone knows Phenom. Everyone's came through Phenom at this point. A lot of people don't know your son was a McDonald's All-American, Tyler.
It's a strange story. Tyler went to Forsyth Country Day in the eighth grade and was, played in the eighth grade and played there his eighth, ninth, and 10th and 11th grade year and had a great career at Forsyth Country Day. And he was coached by Craig Dawson. And, I remember, Coach Steve Smith reached out about, maybe Tyler coming up there to Oak Hill. And at the first, Tyler goes, nah, he goes, I'm happy where I am. And he just sort of said, hey, I'm just going to stay where I am. And then, some things happened. And I said, Tyler, I said, you probably need to just go up there and just check it out and don't close the door quite yet. And we went up there and Coach Steve Smith told us who he had coming in. He goes, Tyler, we're missing one thing from our team. He said, we're missing a point guard. And if I can get you to come up here, we have a chance to win a national championship. And that year, 2012, they went 44-0 and won the national championship. And he won the McDonald's, he was a McDonald's All-American nominee and was selected to the McDonald's All-American team. And then they went on a trip to China, which was a great trip. And they were playing against, national teams overseas and had a good trip over there to China.
They were really good. That Oak Hill teams were the best
They
teams.
were, what, they had a great team that year, but the thing that made them so special was if you asked each one of them, they had Devontae Smith-Revere, who went to Georgetown, Jordan Adams went to UCLA, AJ Hammonds went to Purdue. But if you asked every one of them why they went to Oak Hill, they never mentioned individual accolades. They all said, hey, we want to come here to win a national championship. And it was a situation where it was really a true team effort. All the guys bought in, and there was games where, Tyler was the main guy, and there was times when it was Jordan Adams, Devontae Smith-Revere, AJ Hammonds. It was always somebody differently, but they, as a collective unit, they were really, really good.
People credit to you. I don't know if you noticed, but for Zion, they said he actually the first recognition he got was at your tournament. You actually there when he got the insane block at the tournament?
Matter of fact, it was Zion Williamson and also John Morant.
Yeah, John Morant too. They're on the same team.
They played on the same AAU team. It was the South Carolina Hornets. And we had the event in Greensboro. It was our event called the Summer Havoc. And at that point in time, that's before we had a lot of the multi-court facilities, but we were using like local high schools, whether it was Prolific Park in Greensboro, Greensboro Day, Ben Smith, different high schools. And, they came there and not a lot of people knew about them. And the best story was Matt McMahon, which I knew Matt because he went to Appalachian and I graduated from Appalachian as well. He was at Murray State and he was coming in to the event and just like who are like everybody else on the college scene, they'll come in to us and say, well, who's some of the best players we need to be looking at? And we told them about John Morant being in the back gym. And he went back there, he fell in love with them. And at the time, John Morant didn't have a lot of offers.
Yeah.
And, he went to a very small school in South Carolina. He's from Sumter, South Carolina, went to Crestwood High School all 4 years. And, Matt McMahon, he offered him a scholarship. He ended up going to Murray State, and the rest is history. The same thing with Zion Williamson. Zion, at that time was probably 6'3", and he had a little bit of baby fat to him, but he had tremendous bounce. But to be honest with you, I don't think anybody at that point in time would have watched those two players and said they're going to be where they are today.
It's the work ethic, honestly, and them growing into their bodies, and then obviously going somewhere that fit their games. That's dope how they came through your event. I know that's something you're always going to cherish.
We've had quite a few players that we have some really good stories about, players that came through our events, and that's really, really good to see that so many young players that's come through our platform has reached to the highest level collegiately and also in the NBA. And that's great to see. You get to see them develop as young men, but you see them develop as players too. And that's a very rewarding situation and satisfaction for me as an event operator.
You initially kicked off Phenom. What was your idea like when you initially kicked it off? Did you just trying to figure out a way to stay around the game, or was it like, this is like my business venture, I'm gonna see where this thing can go?
Well, like I said, I started out in 2003 doing camps, and I got involved when Tyler got invited when he was in middle school. He went out to San Diego to the National Phenom Camp, and they sort of had a little franchise with the Phenom camps, and I sort of bought into that, and one thing led to another. But like I said, it was mostly a means to just fundraise for my AAU program. It wasn't until 2009 when Tyler was in high school, and I'm sitting there like in my mid 50s, and I was in the textile business, and I lost my job after 30 years. So I wake up one morning, I go, what am I going to do with my life? Because I don't want to start over and working for another company. And that's when I decided at that point in time, I said, you know what, I'm going to go and give it a shot and, do basketball camps, do tournaments, and do our scouting service. And one thing's led to another, and we've grown. And, now we have 5 people working for us. I have Colby and Tyler working. I have Patrick O'Brien, Jeff Bendel, and I have Donnie Bowie, who's the videographer and one of the best in the country.
The best in the country.
We have a great
So
platform. We put out a lot of content daily on our website. There's a lot of opportunities there.
You started that in your I want people to hear that, in your 50s, your 20s, in your 50s. So that's crazy to think about, because people nowadays, if you don't accomplish something in your 20s, you feel like you failed at life. Crazy you started that in your 50s.
I thoroughly enjoy it. That, as the old saying, if you love something, it's really not work. And you get to go like during the high school basketball season and get to go watch basketball games, and you get to tweet about kids, you get to write about them, put videos out on them. I said, what better way to, finish up my, career.
What would you say is the best player you've seen come out of your camp, or come out of like one of your tournaments or camps? And I know you had like a ton.
A lot. I would have to say right now, John Morant. He came to our Phenom camp, and I put out that video quite a few times when he was a sophomore in high school. He was really, really good at our camp. He was doing things. He was long, he was lanky, he was athletic, and he was bouncy. But you don't never know at that young of an age how good he's actually going to become. But we've had people like him. We've had Patrick Williams, who, Patrick went to Florida State, played there 1 year, was a lottery pick. He's playing in Chicago. We've had Kobe White. We've had, numerous people. Jaden Springer, I remember him coming up through our program, fifth, sixth, and seventh grade, coming to our camps. But I would have to say John Morant, Zion Williamson is two of the most electric players that I see now that played at our camps or come through our platform.